So now I will be doing the growth rate, and as time progressed, the demand for locally grown organic food skyrocketed, and so did the market. Because in the early 90s, the CSA programs, they were counted to be in the low 60s, but as of 2013, there were about over 4,000 CSA programs, and now to present day, there's 6,000 programs, and it's going to continue to grow just because of the demand in the market. So now that leads me towards the key success factors of other programs that they had. One was being able to offer a high quality organic produce, and then another is the ability to grow various produce in bountiful regions. So, like I mentioned earlier, places like Florida, California, and Arizona, where it's sunny year round and it's warm weather and it's ideal for planting. So that way you're able to extend your selling by a couple of months, if not year round. And then another would be consistency in the products delivered. So being able to produce your crops, at the same time, at the same, if not better, than last harvest. And another one is to accurately forecast for a season's potential sales. So you want to be able to find that fine balance to where you sell everything. You don't overproduce or come short. You want to minimize product loss. And then another is high degree of customization. So being able to offer a variety of different foods, different combinations, not just sticking to one thing. And then finally, tending to the customers' wants and needs, because the customers ultimately drive the market. They're the ones who determine whether there is a market. So those are some key success factors that successful CSA programs had in the past, and that's what we'll be looking towards doing with our company. And then, which leads me to the outlook for future growth. For the startup phase, we're hoping to obtain a facility with proper equipment to prepare the food and to can what is needed. So once we sustain that startup, then we want to pay attention to the customer wants, just because the customer has the final say. And then look into outsourcing from different CSA programs, just because we want to minimize the risk factor of losing a crop. So that way, if we do lose one, then we'll be able to replace it with another one. And we also want to be able to meet market demand. And then we want to start off with a penetration pricing, just so we can get our foot in the door. And once the business takes off, we want to lean towards more of a premium pricing, just because the products we'll be putting out will be top notch. And then once the growth begins, we want to expand distribution to beyond Durango, beyond La Plata County, and eventually down the road we want to expand to outside the state of Colorado. And then finally to expand not only to stores but also to the web, because there's this one successful website called Farm Fresh to You, where they deliver your food share to your home or your workplace, and they have created a variety of packages. So that's one way that's the way we're hoping to mature to. And to help us get there, we compiled a list of goals and objectives to help us get us there. So our goals right now would be to place in the top 30%, or we want to place in the top 30% for the CSA industry in the state of Colorado, and we want to become profitable after 3 years, then eventually expand out of the state of Colorado, and then stay independent because we want to run our own company and we don't want anyone like shareholders telling us how to run the business. And then of course we want to meet market demand, and to help us reach these goals we compiled a list of objectives. And these objectives, the top one would be to obtain a proper facility with equipment so we can begin our process of making our products. And then we want to become certified and have the necessary paperwork to run the business, and then make more awareness about CSA programs so that way people know what we're about and what we have to offer. And then keep price per unit under $5 because we want to be able to make a profit off of what we're making. Establish a user-friendly website for our online purchases so people will be able to make purchases online easily and not have to go through loopholes or things like that. And then keep practices of being biodynamic in check. And then lastly, tend to the customer's needs and wants because the customers drive the market.
Okay, so for our business strategy, our desired image that we want to be seen as wholesome, healthy, fresh foods, and that we supply them throughout the winter months, and also the prepared meals to be throughout the year. And we want to be in the top 40% of the CSA industry. So in our SWOT analysis, our strengths, and these are from highest strengths to lowest strengths for every category, weaknesses, all of that. Our highest strength is we have low competition. There is no other CSA program in town that does what we do. There's about 4 or 5 other CSA programs, but that's it, and they don't do what we're going to do at all. Low overhead, doesn't cost a lot to start up. Also doesn't cost a lot to maintain either. It's pretty low cost on the materials, the inexpensive local produce, and then mason jars, which if they return, they get a deal, a discount on their weekly CSA pickup. And the machinery, like the canning supplies, really cheap. We're going to be catering our product to the customer by family size. You can have like a single package or a 2-person or a 4-person package, so that's another strength, is that would be really customizable to what they need. And another thing is Durango really loves to support local agriculture. It's like a very big, strong in Durango. And we have a lot of diverse produce supplied to us as well. I mean, anything you could think of. You've got your squash and your tomatoes and all of that. I mean, huge variety. Also, we make jams and stuff like that too. So weaknesses, one of our biggest weaknesses is that we only be able to have the canned CSA 3 seasons out of the year because we can during those summer months, so we won't be giving away them. And then another thing is the quality of the produce varies. I mean, depending on how that season went in the growing cycle, some might be different. They might be not ripe enough or over-ripened, and that can change the flavor quite a bit. The production time of canned goods is confined to the summer months, so we'll really be working our butt off during the summer, getting everything ready so that people can have food throughout the winter. And right now we have a lack of a facility, so we need to find a kitchen to rent, something like that, because right now we have a very small area where we're working. So opportunities, Linda's Local Cafe is out of business. They were down by Albertsons. They were the only CSA program that had the prepared meals, which is the closest to what we're doing. So we had to fill that gap there. Another thing is we can improve the local economy here through local agriculture, and we can educate locals about proper nutrition and cooking skills. And then we also have free advertising at the farm stand. We can advertise and have sign-up sheets there for the CSA, so that's another plus, is that's going to cost us a lot less. Some threats. The biggest one is environmental constraints. We can't really control the weather, so sometimes you'll get a freeze or a pest, so you might not get a certain produce because of that. And we might be able to find, I know a few other farms that might be interested in helping us out if that were to happen, so we have some backups. Time delays in the produce growing cycle. Sometimes things come really late in the season, which means we're just going to have to play catch up constantly trying to get that stuff ready for when we send out our first batch of CSA, which would be in November. So sometimes the corn comes really late and we're going to have to really hustle to get that done. And then another possible threat is if another CSA in Durango decides to add canned goods to their program, because right now there isn't any. So for our competitive strategy, we're using cost leadership and differentiation. So for our cost leadership, some of the things is, minimal equipment, so that helps us keep our costs low. We're going to start off with penetration pricing to get the large amount of the market to buy based on the low price, and then increase the price because of the value of the product and the quality. And limited, I mean, it's a limited product. You can only have so many people sign up for a CSA. We can't feed all of Durango, so it is going to be a limited time thing. So offering discounts to customers who bring back mason jars from previous CSA pickups will be a big motivator on keeping our costs down as well, because we won't have to be buying those jars constantly. So as long as people want that discount, we won't have to keep buying those jars. Using the day-old produce, it's still good quality, but it's a lot cheaper. You can still can it and it's going to taste amazing, so that's going to help keep our costs down, and keeping, the price of the canned goods a lot lower. And then using the same supplier with whom we have a great price in produce, so hopefully we can get all of our produce through him so we don't have to go through another supplier and have to pay more. And then, like I said before, using the farm stand as advertising in the summer. And you don't need a lot of employees to run it, keeping the cost down as well. So for differentiation, something that makes us different from our competitors is that we will customize canned goods and meals to cater to the needs of the customer. Some of these options will be for singles, family of 2, family of 4, like I was saying earlier, super customizable. And when we get larger, we can customize it even more. So if you want just fall harvest, or you want spring harvest, things like that. If you don't eat a lot of squash, you don't really want a fall harvest, or you don't eat a lot of root vegetables, things like that. So you can customize it. Another thing we do is community education about where their food comes from and how to prepare it. So on the days they pick up their CSA, we'll have recipes for them of things to do with what they got that week with their canned goods. And then more than one way to cook their prepared meal. I mean, you could put most of them in a crock pot and just let it sit for a few hours, but you're going to get bored of having that all the time. So different ways to cook it to make it fun and delicious for their family.